evening, residents of Everett, Washington. I would like to call to order the Everett City Council meeting of April 20th, 2022. This is Councilmember Judy Toohey filling in for Council President Brenda Stonecipher this evening. The City Council is conducting our weekly council meetings remotely. We are preparing to reopen the council chambers to public meetings at our regularly scheduled meeting on Wednesday, May 4th. Until then, there are several ways in which you can engage with the council and participate in our meetings. To watch or participate in our remote meetings, you may watch council meetings live on Comcast 21, Channel 21, or Frontier Channel 29. You may watch live online at www.everettwa.gov/citycouncil, where you may also watch past meetings. You may also call in to listen to the live meeting at any point by dialing 1-425-616-3920. Conference ID 724-887-726 #. You may find the public comment registration form on the City of Everett website under City Council Department. Once you go to register here to provide comment via Zoom, you will need to fill out the form completely if you wish to provide public comment at a future meeting. After the public comment form is submitted, you will receive an email confirmation with the Zoom link and the phone number to the meeting. Participants must submit this form at least 30 minutes prior to the meeting. Forms submitted after that time will not receive the Zoom link number to speak, but may still participate the day of the meeting by submitting comments in writing to council@everettwa.gov. Please note that we do not allow comments on any kind of campaigning, whether for or against ballot measures or candidates running for office. We also do not accept comments focused on personal matters that are unrelated to our city business. Outside of our meetings, members of the public are always welcome to contact council members or provide comments or concerns on any matter via email at council@everettwa.gov or by calling the City Council office at 425-257-8703. With that, Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Mayor Franklin.
Here.
President Stonecipher.
Excused.
Councilmember Schwab.
Here.
Councilmember Fossey.
Here.
Councilmember Zarlingo.
Here.
Councilmember Vogely.
Here.
Councilmember Ryan.
Here.
Councilmember Toohey.
Here. I would like to call on Councilmember Zarlingo to lead the Pledge of Allegiance this evening.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now I would like to call on Councilmember Ryan to read the Land Acknowledgement.
Thank you. We acknowledge the original inhabitants of this place, the Shohoe people and their successors, the Tulalip tribes. Since time immemorial, they have hunted, fished, gathered on, and taken care of these lands and waters. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and water. We will strive to be honest about our past mistakes and bring about a future that includes their people, stories, and voices to form a more just and equitable society.
Thank you very much. Now, do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes of April 13th, 2022?
Councilmember Ryan so moves.
Thank you. And a second?
Councilmember Schwab, second.
All right. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Schwab.
Yes.
Councilmember Fossey.
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo.
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan.
Yes.
Councilmember Toohey.
Yes. Thank you. And now moving on to comments from Mayor Franklin.
Yeah, good evening, council members. I just wanted to share how proud I am of our Everett Transit team, who is being recognized by Snow Isle Sierra Club tomorrow night. The recognition is for being an effective leader in the region, demonstrating and serving as an example for others as we all work to address climate change. And in the Sierra Club's words, they stated, Everett Transit is a perfect example of this work, and we are pleased to be recognizing your leadership in the entire organization this year as one of our climate champions. So great recognition for our Everett Transit team. So please join me in congratulating them for that recognition they'll receive virtually tomorrow. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Great. Well, we'll enjoy the good news. So moving on now to council comments and liaison reports. We'll start with Council Member Schwab.
No comments tonight. Thank you.
All right. Council Member Fossey.
Thanks. Well, last night was a very interesting presentation at the Delta Neighborhood Association. They're meeting in person again at Hawthorne Elementary, and they got a presentation from the Department of Ecology on the Asarco cleanup project. And so if you're in North Everett and you're within that zone and you're curious about your property, the Department of Ecology does have a dirt map that you can check. And if you go over to the Delta Neighborhood Association Facebook, they post a lot of links on there that make it really accessible and easy for neighbors to figure out where they are in the process, if their soils are cleaned up yet, and whatnot. And then the other thing I wanted to bring forward is I wanted to make a motion to work with legal on looking at some tenant protections. And so I would need a second on that.
Do we have
Councilmember Ryan seconds.
Thank you. We do have a second, so that's great. So we'll let Councilmember Fossey and Ryan work with the legal team on bringing back a proposal for council to consider.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to Councilmember Zarlingo.
Well, it's neat that our transit department is getting some recognition. The mayor and I were a couple of transit-oriented things lately. The mayor and I were working with the Sound Transit, or working on the Sound Transit Elected Leadership Group. This is part of the plan the public voted on some years ago for Sound Transit 3. That included the Everett Link extension. So that's a more than 16-mile extension from the first station in Linwood that will open in a couple of years down through to downtown Everett. We're working through the process of refining the path of the tracks and the potential locations for stations. And after a technical study that's been going on so far, public input and a citizens advisory group, our effort recently has been to narrow this sum to remove some of the potential station locations and track paths that didn't make as much sense as others, so we can focus on the highest, the best favorable ones for us in terms of the interests of the community members of Everett. That's a process that will take some time, but this first pass will narrow down some of those options. And also related to not only transit, but traffic in general, met with the Puget Sound Regional Council Transportation Policy Board. That's a 4-county regional organization that's updating its regional transportation plan. The board's going through the plan and amendments. This helps determine, among other things, how federal funding is allocated to the communities in this 4-county region. We want to do the right thing with growth and transportation policies for commuting, freight, deliveries, commercial transport of all kinds, bicycles, pedestrians, and so on. So this regional transportation plan is updated, I think, every 4 years. And this latest effort has been a couple of 4-hour-plus meetings to go through all of these amendments submitted by the public, various organizations, and local government officials. So part of the process so that we can look to the future and get ourselves in the best position possible to support growth, keep commute times reasonable, reduce greenhouse gases, vehicle miles traveled, and of course, the efforts of cities like Everett in going to an electric bus fleet have really been good in this area. And that's it for me this evening.
All right, thank you for that. We move on to Councilmember Vogely.
Good evening, everybody. The TAC Transportation Advisory Committee meeting is tomorrow morning at 8. Look it up online, folks, everettwa.gov. And I know that there was an email sent in by a constituent, and it was requested that it be read by the clerk. And if it will be read by the clerk, then I will allow that to happen. If not, I would read it myself. So I'm in need of an answer.
Councilmember Vogely, I don't believe we intended to read the full email, so I think you could go ahead and do that now. I think Nicole's working with the public comment, but if you could read it since you have it in front of you, that would save her the time to do that.
Fantastic, thank you. It says, "Good evening, Council. My name is Janine Desmarais, and she lives at her address. I would like to update the Council on recent events that have occurred at Planned Parenthood via the attached YouTube videos and commentary. I will not play those. The first incident is in a two-part video and occurred on the 6th of April when a young African-American patient left the facility and was followed by 3 anti-choice protesters and surrounded him behind a vehicle. They then touched and hugged this young man. The optics around 3 white women cornering a young Black man is disturbing, to say the least. No patient anywhere should have to be put into this situation. This is an invasion of privacy and harassment. This could have been avoided with a buffer zone." Video 1, video 2. And then this incident occurred today, 4/20/2022. A young female patient was getting a literal life-saving abortion. Her father, shown in the video, talked to Ian Gallagher for almost 10 minutes, telling the story. A video that she also has of how a second child could kill her, and even though he was raised pro-life, his daughter's life is more important. Of course, Ian disagreed with the patient's father, letting him know that he was wrong and that God should decide. This was a wanted pregnancy. Someone please explain to us all why we, as a supposedly civilized society, should allow this. Why did this father have to defend his daughter's right to live to a total and utterly stranger? Did you know, now I'm losing my spot. Did you know that there are buffer zones at polling stations some 100 yards? You mean to tell me that people's personal body is guaranteed less rights than a vote? This is not a First Amendment issue. This is a privacy issue. The Constitution guarantees the right to an abortion and medical treatment. The ability to have those rights should not be encumbered by total strangers. Additionally, I have attached a picture that easily demonstrates that creating a buffer zone still allows for everyone's First Amendment rights to stay intact. That sign is 100% visible, even with the semi-blurred picture. That is approximately 50 feet from Planned Parenthood's property line. You can be seen and heard from that distance. The sniff test of time, place, and manner passes. All that would happen is you would put the power and decision-making into the hands of the intended audience of whether or not they want to engage. Give people the power to decide for themselves, the freedom that the Constitution and America is supposed to represent. Just an FYI, Colorado has a floating buffer zone that the Supreme Court has upheld. This is not impossible. It is time to change the narrative and direction on this issue and make society a better place for all. Then there is a link. With regards, Janine Desmarais, and I hope that I'm saying your name correctly. I apologize if I'm not. And I know this is a long-standing issue, and I know that she has written in a few times and asked to have her opinions read out loud. And this is probably the first time it has been done so. I will not be asking for anything else, and I have no more comments. And thank you, Janine, for engaging in our system.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Vogely. Moving on now to Councilmember Ryan.
Great, thank you so much. So I had a number of meetings this week, a couple neighborhood meetings and library boards. So the first was the Lowell Neighborhood Association, and they meet the third Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. at the Foursquare Church in Lowell. It's on South 2nd and Main Street. We had a chance to hear from Eric from Shelter Holdings, who's working on the Riverside development. And so it was exciting to hear about plans and potential tenants that will be moving in there. So that was interesting. Neighborhood passed along some traffic concerns along South 3rd there, and just folks going way too fast down that street, particularly near the dog park and the other park that's there. And it sounds like a dog had been hit not too long ago. And so we had they asked me to check in about ways that the speed limit could either be reduced or some other traffic calming measures could be put in. So I just wanted to give a heads up that I'll be asking about that. I also have two other from other neighborhoods. I have so far 2 crosswalk requests and then this traffic request as well. And so I'd love to hear what the best way is to pass these suggestions and concerns along, and without being too burdensome on staff, or if there's maybe a portal that's set up that I could fill in these requests, or just the best way to help the staff time, or if there's even a document out there that has a listing of priority projects, I can cross-check and get back to constituents. So just wanted to make a mention about that. Yesterday, I had a chance to go to the Bayside Neighborhood Association at the Everett Public Library, and they meet the 3rd Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. We heard from Sharing Wheels about the great work that they're doing, and all the great programs that they have, and opportunities to purchase bikes or repair your bike or take classes. They also have a plant swap this Saturday, April 23rd from 10 to 1 at the Bayside Pea Patch. So you can dig up some plants in your yard and swap them out, or just go get some new plants for your yard to spiff it up for the season. Then I stepped over, even though I was at the library, I moved to a different room for the library board meeting. And so they have a number of, just wanted to share a reminder, they have a number of events going on right now, including a tiny art show, and that they also have discovery passes available to check out. Excuse me, they also shared that their 2021 annual report is now available, which is awesome. I really wanted to share a couple highlights with you. So keeping in mind that in 2021, we all remember that year, they weren't open for full hours for the whole year, or even full days of their week, but they were still able to circulate, wait for it, 483,188 items over the course of the year. They hosted 250 programs with 6,995 attendees, and they also hosted 12,768 public computer sessions. So just what a great, amazing work that they did over 2021. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them, and check out their annual report when you get a chance. And then I just wanted to have a quick plug at the end here. I wanted to thank staff for answering the questions that I had about consent item number 2 about the signal upgrades at 41st and Colby. I'd heard from the biking community about how difficult this intersection is to cross, connecting from the interurban trail over to the bike path on Hoyt. And so I'm glad to hear that the signal upgrades are going to include the leading pedestrian intervals and other increased pedestrian and bicycle safety measures. And the folks in the community also had mentioned that it had been previously studied that the best way for bicyclists to connect from interurban to Hoyt is coming down Hoyt and then crossing 41st there at Hoyt. So putting in a light signal there that would be timed with the brakes and the light would be great. So I just wanted to pass that suggestion along as well. So that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Ryan. I just have a couple of things. First, I want to congratulate our transit team. Way to go. Really proud of you. And I appreciate that update on the Delta neighborhood. I have a couple constituents that we've been conversing about the Asarco cleanup, so I'll make sure that they get that link and see if that is helpful for them. And the third thing, I've worked with Council President Stonecipher. We have now scheduled 9 neighborhood meetings that we will be attending separately, but 9 over the course of May, June, and July. And so when Deb gets back, she'll reach out to those neighborhood chairs just to let them know that we would like to visit on those days. And I'll send all the council members the calendar so that you know when we're going to be visiting with you. And then we will finish the rest of the neighborhoods, in August and on. So just want to let everybody know that we did get all that organized. And now we're going to move on to see if there's any update from administration.
Thank you, Council Member Stone Tui. Sorry, no update this evening.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the city attorney. Any comments, Mr. Hall?
No comments or report tonight, and there is no executive session. Thank you.
Okay. Now we'll move on to Nicole. Have we received any comments from the community for our public comment this evening?
Thank you, Councilmember Tui. We have received one written comment concerning Planned Parenthood from Janine Desmaris. It has been provided to the full council and entered into the record. Thank you very much. That's all we've received for this evening. And we don't have anyone signed up to speak
Okay,
either, just FYI.
Super. All right, that's great. Now moving on, do I have a motion for our 4 consent items?
Councilmember Zarlingo moves to approve the 4 consent items.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Vogely seconds.
Great. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Schwab,
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse,
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan,
Yes.
Councilmember Tui.
Yes. Moving on to our action items, we'll start with action item number 5, Council Bill 2203-12. This is the third and final reading. Adopt an ordinance creating a special improvement project entitled Everett Smelter Draining, Fund 336, Program 028. Do I have a motion?
Vogely moves the motion.
Thank you. And a second?
Councilmember Schwab, second.
Okay, we'll see if there's any further questions or comments from council. We'll start with Councilmember Schwab.
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Fosse,
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Councilmember Zarlingo,
Just happy to see progress on these issues. Thank you.
Councilmember Vogely,
No questions or comments.
and Councilmember Ryan.
Nothing for me. Thanks.
All right, and I have no questions or comments. So with that, clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Schwab,
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse,
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan,
Yes.
Councilmember Tui.
Yes. Moving on to action item number 6, Council Bill 2203-13. This is the third and final reading. Adopt an ordinance closing a special improvement project entitled Jackson Park Area Stormwater Separation and Treatment, Fund 336, Program 012, as established by ordinance number 3745-20. Do I have a motion?
Vogely so moves.
Thank you. And a second, please?
Councilmember Schwab, second.
Great. Okay, we'll see if there's any questions or comments, starting with Councilmember Schwab.
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Fosse,
No questions or comments. Thanks.
Councilmember Zarlingo,
No questions or comments.
Councilmember Vogely,
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Councilmember Ryan.
No questions or comments.
I have no other questions or comments, so clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Schwab,
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse,
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan,
Yes.
Councilmember Tui.
Yes. Now we're going to move on to our council briefing agenda. These items come before the City Council serving as a council committee of the whole and are likely to be scheduled at a future meeting. We're going to have an Economic Development Strategy 2022-2025 update. And I believe we have Dan Enersey here to present. Dan?
Thank you very much. I shared my screen and my mute button went to a different spot, so it took me a minute to track it down. So sorry about that. But yeah, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you all very much for giving me such undivided attention to look at economic development. I think we talk about economic development a lot. It's obviously something that every city wants to say that they do a great job on, but in my experience of it, Everett really means it. And from the mayor on down, the staff, the community really believes in things that support a strong economic community and environment in our city. So I'm very happy to be able to share this. As you know, I've been here for, coming up on 4 years. And right when I arrived in 2018, I put together a 4-year strategic plan for economic development that included many of the things that you'll see tonight. And I thought it was just appropriate to dust that off and do a 2.0 strategic plan. And as I was preparing it, I realized that really what I'm getting at this time is not so much a strategic plan as a strategy. And a lot of the things that I hope to provide tonight are a framework on which to build initiatives, to build different approaches to what we do to pursue economic development. But really, it's just a way of thinking about economic development and the many different things that we do as a city that are far beyond my office that encourage economic development. So thank you again for the time. Feel free to stop me as I go. I've got a lot of material and I'll go fairly quickly, but if I get interrupted, it's easy to get back on track. So at the end, obviously, I'll have lots of time for questions as well. So I guess maybe partly because I'm reading a biography of Abraham Lincoln, but I'm not going to be apologetic at all for telling a few stories and having a few picture metaphors, because I think that was one of the great tools of Abraham Lincoln's presidency. So let's start off by just talking about what helps growth. And I'm a gardener. I'm not a great gardener, but I have learned a couple things. One is if you're going to grow tomatoes, you got to put your cages around the tomatoes when they're this size, when they're small. You don't wait until they're starting to blossom and different things like that, because growth needs structure, especially with a plant like a tomato plant. And the same is true in a city. So that's the first of three different main kind of I guess, legs of a stool that you would think of in economic development, is that we need to build systems that can support that growth, that encourage healthy growth. And I have a picture here of the Hoyt Renewal project. And this is something that, you know, it obviously wasn't in response to any big broken anything, but it was one of those things that we as a city, the infrastructure that we maintain as a city helps to encourage strong growth in the downtown community in this case. So on each of these three things, I'm going to talk about some different things. And the first thing is reputation that we want to convey to the business community and also actually just model for ourselves. So our reputation for this first to encourage healthy growth is that we are a clean, safe, and efficient city. And if I were to say that any of the things were like Maslow's hierarchy of needs at the foundation level, this is really it. You can do a lot of great things in economic development and have them completely undermined unless you have these strong foundational things. If your city is not clean and safe, for example, and if people, residents as well as business people, feel threatened, it's going to undermine no matter what kind of nice programs that you might run. So this is, I guess, first and foremost, we want to communicate that Everett's clean, safe, and efficient. The ongoing efforts that we do through my office, but also, you know, really through every department, you'll see different things, is things like permitting, our code and policies, and sometimes I'll bring back things that are just maybe what seem like fairly minor tweaks, but they might be important things to the business community. Our infrastructure, like the Hoyt Renewal project, transportation, utilities, parking, regional planning, childcare, education, workforce, all these foundational things that one needs to have a healthy city and economy. Some of the things that we've accomplished, some very recently, others in the past couple of years, we identified the web triangle. We put some impact fees in place to encourage more growth. We changed some of our codes to make food trucks more friendly. Not the food trucks more friendly, to be more friendly to food truck operators. There you go. I'm learning to talk tonight. The Bezos Academy and the Northwest Innovation Resource Center both got leases and city spaces that will activate those spaces and provide really necessary infrastructure for our future and training for the academy. So, I mean, in the academy, some of the initiatives that we hope to bring to council in the next few years, actually, some of these in the next few months. I'll go through these each individually. EverPark automation is happening right now, and we hope to finish that project this summer, and that will make EverPark much easier to manage. It's currently under contract with the Downtown Everett Association, and we think that we can do that with less staff and more efficiently, and have better control over the payment methods with that automation. We hope to build on our progress already made with making our permit process completely digital. And so even if someone were to bring in a paper plan, we could take that, scan it, get it in the system, and from front to back, the whole process would be digital. We hope to implement a program called See-Click Fix that allows residents and business owners to quickly communicate through a mobile app things that need to have our attention placed on them, and it seamlessly puts the message to the right inbox. Financing for the Epic Green Bridge is one of the things that we hope to do. And by the way, these ones that are bolded, these might be options for ARPA funding. And so those are, I just wanted to call attention to that. And part of the thing for the Epic Green Bridge is to share the cost of the design at the front end. The first design process will be pretty expensive, about $900,000 to get it going. And that's something we hope to split with the finance and the utility department. And then paid on-street parking is the next one. And that is something a little bit more in the distance, but it's a result of the parking consultant. I do see that Councilmember Vogely has her hand up, and she's patiently waiting. So I will stop where I am, because it's probably been up for 4 different things. So
well, that's very nice of you that I have 4 questions, but no, I just have a comment about implement See-Click Fix. And Ryan Sass would probably, I think, really enjoy that, because I keep sending him emails when I'm out on my walk, like, okay, so I see this, okay, so I see this. And if everybody had that opportunity, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a great program. And speaking of Ryan Sass, all 3 of these that are highlighted here really are coming through more of the Public Works Department than they are through my department, because they are so integrated. But it is a great program. Literally, if there's a manhole cover that's out of wonk or something like that, you can take a picture of it, type in what it is, but the photo has the GIS information on it, so we know exactly which manhole cover it is, and it just is really as slick can be. The final thing that council members Arlengo referred to is just the ongoing effort to make sure that the Sound Transit light rail stations and Operation Maintenance Facility, or OMF, is in places that really will encourage long-term growth in the city. So this is the first bucket. Are there any comments on this building systems that encourage healthy growth, or questions? Okay, I'll launch forward. Second thing, again, picture for me. I
think Councilmember Ryan has her hand up.
Oh, I didn't see that. I'm sorry, I missed that.
So it was late on the not as anyways. So I just wanted to give a quick advocacy shout out for paid on-street parking in downtown. I've been hearing from small business owners in the downtown area that they have trouble. That I'd like to find a way to help make it easier for them to park downtown. I know that some of the businesses, they have late hours. They can't always take transit downtown, or they have to haul things in and out of their business. So ways to make it easier for small business owners downtown to park, I think, would be really awesome. So just wanted to give a little plug there.
Right. Yeah, it's a complicated thing, but I think that the history of it is pretty well documented, and I think it's a really great time to move forward. You will hear lots about it in the future, because it'll be a process. I don't mean to cut this very complicated process too short, but it's probably with the RFP and all the different planning and so forth, it might take 2 years at least to be implemented. So council will have lots of opportunities to touch that. Councilmember Fossey, I see your hand as well.
With that, the on-street parking, are there, do you always like look at other lots and what is available for what Councilmember Ryan was speaking to on that though, like as an alternative, so it wouldn't be as necessarily a big concern because you have available avenues for those small business owners?
Yeah, the DEA has been a real great advocate for that. And frankly, we were on a trajectory to do this before the pandemic that was obviously much quicker than maybe 2024 or whatever it will be. And they were doing shared parking studies with some of the surface lots, making sure those lots were full, overbooking the Everett Park because not everybody comes every day. And that will continue to be the issue with some people working remotely a percentage of the time. So you can have more than 100% fill. I think the main point about the on-street parking is you want to make sure your customers have parking that's fairly close. And so those are the stalls that are closest to the business that you want to turn over fairly quickly, at least during the main business hours. So yeah, definitely it's not a one fix doesn't do it. You know, it's kind of working together, all those different things. And I've said this before, and probably Councilmember Vogely will roll her eyes, but you know, my job is to make parking problems and to make traffic. So, you know, hopefully you'll see those things as frustrating at sometimes, but really in the long term, those are signs of real health. We don't want there to be lots and lots of parking downtown. Because that just is an indication that people aren't coming or the businesses aren't full. So, Councilmember Toohey.
Yeah, I've been pretty involved in the parking study, and I think it would be a good thing to make sure that all of our new council members have a copy of that, because it was very interesting in that we always thought we didn't have enough parking, but in actuality we did, and that was pre-COVID. I know a lot of the businesses downtown have challenges because 90 minutes is not enough time to shop and go have lunch or take a class at the shack. And so it's very frustrating for the folks that are coming into town. And so to be able to pay to park on the street close by and to give yourself enough hours to really enjoy your time in downtown Everett, I think is pretty important. So anyway, I'll reach out to Deb next week when she gets back and make sure that she gets everybody a fresh copy of that parking study. So, all right,
That
Dan.
sounds great. Thank you very much. So I'm going to press on to the second area, which is supporting businesses that broaden economic opportunity. And again, another story. I worked a lot of my years in the past of directing summer camp programs. And having grown up an athlete, I didn't appreciate what was really the goal of a lot of summer camp games. And that is to make no spectators. You want everybody to be a participant in a summer game. In a summer camp game, you don't want kids sitting on the sideline watching as the better players play the game, but to be involved and engaged. And in many ways, that's what we really want to do with our economy, right? We want to make sure that there are lots of entry points, that people feel like they can, if they want a job, we can get them a job. If they want to get higher training for the jobs for advancement, we want to have a city that they can do that in. The slogan that we use is "You can make it here," you know, and we really believe that there is a place for business owners, employees, homeowners, renters, that there's opportunities galore in Everett to be involved and engaged and to get ahead. So again, our reputation that we want to communicate here, and not only just, talk. We want to really walk the talk, is that there's jobs, there's prosperity, there's housing. Ongoing, this means working with business associations, emphasizing things like advanced manufacturing skills, industry clusters like aerospace, clean tech, green energy, working on our housing stock, incentives for those things, so more is built, home occupation, business licenses, make it easy entry to be entrepreneurs in this community. And every single one of these has et cetera in it. And so, this is not meant to be an exhaustive list. And then the things that we've accomplished, this is just since Mayor Franklin took office, over 2,400 units have been built, over 100 million square feet of commercial space has been built. The DEA, the Downtown Everett Association, has gained Main Street membership, which has turned out to be a really great deal, and not only is a good best practice association to be involved with, that has opened up some incentives for contributions that have really increased their budget and allowed them to add staffing. The Riverfront Development Agreement has been secured, and I could go on, but these are just some of the different things that we're excited about. Initiatives coming forward. Aerospace Boeing strategic plan. We want to be the home of the next Boeing airplane that gets built. The newest, whatever, the Z7 or whatever they choose to call it. We want to have that built in Everett. And we want to be sure that we're doing the right things. Our housing incentive package, this is something that's underway. That planning department secured a grant and will be going out for RFP momentarily. I can't remember exactly when it is, but if it hasn't gone out, it's going out soon, to find a consultant to help us review our incentive package and just make sure that it really is checking all the right boxes. Clean energy and biotech clusters. I mentioned these things, but we really want to lean into it. I was very excited this morning to read that Seattle Genetics finally announced that they are expanding in Everett. They are already under construction, so we've known about it for a long time, but we haven't been able. Out of courtesy, we typically don't talk about businesses until they talk about themselves being in Everett. So. Seattle Genetics, if you were to add up the value of every biotech company in the Puget Sound region except Seattle Genetics, their value combined wouldn't be as much as Seattle Genetics. They are really the big dog in the local biotech and biomanufacturing field. They'll be building a 270,000 square foot facility out in Southwest Everett. And it will be manufacturing cancer drugs, basically. And it's such a good complement with our advanced manufacturing aerospace cluster. We're very excited about the jobs that will bring. And then South Everett Business Association. This is something that we hope to encourage something, and whether it's called this, whether it's, the Silver Lake Business Association, and there's another one that's the Casino Road Business Association, or whatever. We just want to enhance our connection to businesses, small, large, medium, anything's home-based throughout the city, and not just focus on downtown Everett. As important as that is, I think there's also opportunities in the North Everett area around the Broadway College District area as well. So lots of opportunities, and we just really want to be connected and encouraging these businesses wherever they may lie. So that's the end of the second bullet. Encourage those businesses and support them that broaden the economic opportunities in the city. I am going on to the third. I don't see any hands.
I have a question. I can't raise my hand for some reason.
Well, you can physically just do it, and that probably works really well for me because I can actually see the movement, I think, better than the little yellow guy in the corner. But Councilmember Schwab?
Yeah, could you just real briefly talk about a little more, a couple of bullet points about the housing incentive package?
Yeah, right now we have a multifamily property tax exemption, as well as in our code, there are some incentives, like if you do some public art, you get an extra story of height. There's, if you do certain green building techniques, you get some added density. I mean, not added density, added height, because we don't have density limits. So what we hope to do is just make sure that we are offering those in enough places. Personally, I'm going to ask the consultant to their opinion on whether or not we should expand the multifamily property tax exemption, which I personally believe is the most effective incentive that the state allows us to have. And it also leverages our funds with those from around the state. So it's a great one, but we don't offer it everywhere. We don't offer it in all the places multifamily can be built. And I think that would be one thing that we'd like to get their opinion on. I've always wondered about some of the incentives that there should be, in a sense, disincentives. If you don't max out or you don't build as tall as you could along Evergreen Way or something like that. If you build a 2-story apartment building along Evergreen Way, or that seems like if our incentives are encouraging low density or low height, that seems like not a good way to do it. So there's a bit of a laundry list in the planning community, and some of those are in our codes already. But just looking at those codes, as well as our use of certain state sanctioned incentives like the multifamily property tax exemption. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's fantastic. I was wondering if transportation corridor locations was part of that. Also, that was one thing I was thinking.
I'm not sure.
Like in Evergreen Way, I know part of Evergreen Way already has some of those incentives.
Right. Yeah, part of it does and part of it doesn't. I think in the past we kind of located in kind of nodes, and my own humble opinion, it should be everywhere along Evergreen Way. I don't think we should be limited, but
I would agree.
But I'd love to have that. Somebody smarter than me tell you that.
All right.
Councilmember Zarlingo, I think I saw your hand.
Yeah, just chiming in on the relationship of especially the kind of South and Southwest Everett development and the efforts going on with Sound Transit and that loop of the ST3 guideways going to cover that Southwest Everett industrial area. I think it's important for everybody to understand that these are long-term efforts, and for us to have that kind of job growth and also maintain some affordable housing and to avoid choking the area with traffic, we're gonna need to kind of hit on all cylinders this way. And I'm really happy to see the comprehensiveness of the way you and administration are looking at all of this, because just getting the jobs can be as much a curse as a benefit if you don't properly prepare for them. And these are kind of years-long efforts. And so that's, I guess, what helps sustain me in these 4 or 5 hour meetings where we're trying to do these plans. So thank you, and thank the team for such diligent efforts on all that.
I feel like who is it in Fiddler on the Roof? May the Lord strike me with that curse, and may I never recover. I think he was talking about richness, but whatever. But yeah, jobs are hard to get. I tell you. But Everett has been blessed by being one of those cities that our population actually goes up during the day, because we're a job magnet. We have really created a way for people to come here, and we just need to make sure that people can live here, work here, and enjoy themselves here all together. Councilmember Ryan, I see your hands up.
Just wanted to add a friendly reminder, just to mention that one of the elements of the equation to broadening economic opportunity is access to affordable childcare. So I know it was mentioned earlier with Bezos Academy and whatnot, but just wanted to toss that on out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for, and that was one education like like early childhood, childcare, early childhood education, K through 12. Does it go in this, businesses that broaden economic opportunity, or does it go in where I put it, which is in the structures that you need to support growth? It could really, this is somewhat arbitrary, but that one was really one that I kind of ping-ponged back and forth, but I ended up being one of the kind of foundational structures that, again, are kind of like that Maslow's foundation. You just can't get past to go without having good childcare, without having good K through 12 education. It's so important that we just really have to be, back to the basics on it continually. So yeah, thank you for pointing that out. It's such a, it's painful when you don't have it too. You just can't get forward. Last and third area, and I'm going to throw in a bonus fourth, by the way, just so you know, just spoiler alert. But the third area is make places that create tangible value. I didn't have to look past Funko to find a great example for this. This is one that this is my own story, but it also is something in Everett that Funko is, they've got magic in how they can transform a place and create tangible value. There's certain businesses that just have it. Disney would be another one that I would say, they can take a piece of Florida swamp and create a magical place in it. And it's pretty incredible what you can do with placemaking. And the reputation I think that we're looking for in Everett anyway is that we're urban. We are the urban center for Snohomish County. And I think that's something that we need to really lean into. We are cultured and we have lots of natural beauty as well. So this is a place where you can basically have it all. If those are the things you're looking for, we don't have a lot of 5-acre lots with houses. If you're looking for that, that's probably not Everett. We're urban, but we have a lot of these other things, ongoing things. There's so many of them, from the creative, encouraging the creative economy to our libraries, historic walkable downtown, arts, waterfront museums, dining, food trucks, events, retail, public art, murals, arena, conventions, Everett Station, our sports, our parks, of course, our parks, and the new Painfield commercial service, all things that add value. Just today I was in a meeting and we were talking about Painfield going to Spokane and how much that was great for Washington State Everett. It's a great amenity for us. Things that we've accomplished, we've launched visit everett.com, our public facilities district, which is the umbrella thing that has the Angel of the Winds Arena, was refinanced. The farmers market and horticulture have both moved to downtown. And I could add to the list fresh paint. I made this PowerPoint, I think, before I knew that for sure, but fresh paint is going to be downtown, as Councilmember Tui might want to tell you, but I'll do the deed. And Grand Avenue Bridge, which was a fantastic stormwater project, right? That was magically transformed into a placemaking thing that added great value both to the waterfront and to the community near the Grand Avenue Park. Councilmember Vogel, I see your hand.
Thank you. I just wanted to put out let's see, where are we at accomplished? I bet we could accomplish even more with closing down what is it? 2 blocks for the farmers market and horticulture for all time. Okay. we can discuss that later, but it's now out in the open, very walkable when there's no cars driving through.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting when cities do that, and it can work and not work. The history has been mixed. The one place that I read about that has a really interesting history is the Santa Monica Third Avenue Promenade. It's a great case study of how that evolution has kind of gone up and down and up and down. But yeah, it's a very interesting proposal, but that's the kind of thing. So that is not going to be on my initiative list today, Councilmember Vogely, but I will throw a couple others at you. The Angel of the Wind Arena capital support is one area. They were unable to get the shuttered venue grant that so many other venues got, and their savings were kind of wiped out during the pandemic, and that might be something that we can support with our ARPA funds. Creative District Designation. The state has an ArtsWA program that is kind of similar to the Main Street program for DEA. We are like the poster child for this creative district. We have all the right things. And again, we started the application before the pandemic, but we just really felt like part of what this is about is bringing the arts community together, those who are working in the creative district, creative economy. And it was really hard to do that on Zoom. The artists really felt like they needed to be face-to-face when we started this. And so we said, okay, we'll push it off for the 6 months while the pandemic runs its course. And then the 6 months became 2.5 years, and we're just kind of picking it up probably this fall. So we don't think that's a terribly long process, but it'll just add one more layer of interest to the downtown and give us our well-deserved recognition. Mural program is something we want to more formalize. Now, I didn't mention all the good things that the Cultural Arts Commission is doing already, running our 4 main events and doing the public art that they're doing. That's just kind of our ongoing thing, but I do want to just recognize that as another area. So to summarize, these are the 3 areas. And the 4th that I said was a bonus, I guess this is like the seed of the stool, is that we just want to tell others about these things. And this is in my love of Venn diagrams. I think this is maybe my best Venn diagram ever. So as they overlap, the stories that you try to tell for the build system is again, that we're clean, safe, and efficient. We have jobs, prosperity, and housing, and we're supporting those businesses. And we're cultured, urban, and we have lots of natural beauty. The platforms that we use to tell these stories are different because the audiences are different. That clean, safe, and efficient, largely that's from our website. It's with our alert system. It's through Twitter. It's through, pushing out very factual information. And this is where I really want to start building a online suite for small businesses. I don't think we do enough to connect to small businesses from start to finish. We need to welcome them. We need to encourage them. We need to give them a good front door. When they get an Everett business license, I want them to feel like that has value and not just as another tax that they have to pay. In the jobs, prosperity, and housing, our platform is starting, and we're going to continue to build on that in LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the social media that really connects with the business community. And so we'll build on that. And again, as I intimated before, that campaign of You Can Make It Here will be our kind of flag waving thing. And it has obviously the double entendre that we have a proud manufacturing tradition here in Everett, and people actually make amazing things here. But also you as an individual, you as a business, you as a family, you as a couple, you can make it here. You can do things here and really excel. And then finally, the platform that you're probably most familiar with if you follow anything is our visiteverett.com. And that's our tourism platform, but also our kind of resident love platform, making lovers of Everett wherever they may be coming from. And we need to, at this point, the platform, the Visit Everett brand is just extending. But we've been, during the pandemic, a lot of it was on, can't wait for this pandemic to be over, kind of top of mind. But now we're going to pivot to more, hey, come and do this thing, come and look at all the great things that you can come visit and do and get involved with. With that, I have come to the end, and I will just leave it up like this. I can stop sharing as soon as I'm told, but I'll leave that up there for now just as a reference point.
All right. Well, thank you, Dan. I will just go back through the council members to see if they have any further questions or comments, and appreciate your presentation. We'll start with Councilmember Schwab.
Thank you for the presentation. It just demonstrates the optimism that I have, and I think the rest of us have for the city. And I'm glad you share that too. And thanks for the mayor and all your support. Thank you.
We'll move on to Councilmember Fossey.
Thanks. Well, I second Councilmember Schwab's comments, and I'm thrilled to be able to sit through this one again, because it is definitely interesting stuff. Thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Zarlingo.
That was interesting. Councilmember Vogel talked about a street closure area, pedestrian area, and I've been to that promenade in Santa Monica. It's an impressive place, and I guess I look forward to looking into that. I've seen these things, sort of the devil be in the details in that, in terms of what works, what doesn't, what looks like it will work and has other consequences, and how to make the surroundings and all that work. Because I think sometimes those things work in certain environments well, especially if you look around them in the immediate area and make it all go together. So I'm encouraged about possibilities in that, and I think this is an example where we can be realistic and imaginative and get these things going, but also avoid some of the pitfalls. We've got a good staff here that'll help us look into this all and make good decisions, and not do something that's truly productive and not something we're going to be bit by unintended consequences for. So thank you for the presentation, for all the thought that went into that. And I guess this is kind of just the next step in more of that thinking and planning.
Okay, thank you. And moving on to Councilmember Vogel.
Thank you so much. Yeah, what Councilmember Schwab said, and everybody, and I'm really glad for the hopefulness and the possibilities. And even if we make mistakes, you know what? There have been so many mistakes made in planning, like forever, that we can make a couple and just fix it. But hopefully we won't make the mistakes. We'll just do awesome, and it'll be great. Okay. Thank you, Dan.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Ryan.
Thank you, Dan, for your presentation. It's great to see it, and I appreciate all the thought and that you've put into it. I wanted to plug two more things. Wanted to give an emphasis for historic preservation, especially in our downtown area. There's just such great and rich history downtown, and preserving those stories and those spaces, I think, is really important. So any way that we can apply for different historic designations or tax credits or whatever types of preservation efforts are thought through for downtown, I'd definitely be supportive of that. I know that our historic Everett group is really active as well, and I'm sure they got plenty of great ideas on ways to keep our downtown as exciting as it is. And wanted to make one more plug too for, I've been thinking a lot about like little pocket neighborhood pockets. So like along Madison and off of like 75th or so, or along Beverly by 75th and Casino, there's these little areas that have like 3 or 4 businesses in a row, and ways to support just those little pocket areas in our different neighborhoods is really great. Community building, places for neighborhoods to have a third place that they can go to enjoy time with their neighbors and whatnot. I just think that really brings a lot of really great community to to neighborhoods and just places for gathering places so that people can enjoy each other and enjoy spaces and whatnot. So just wanted to add a little plug for that too. But thanks again for your hard work on this. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. And just to clarify, when you're talking about pocket places, you're talking about like little neighborhood commercial centers, right? A local store that has a coffee shop and turns into a nice wine place in the evening or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I think, like Cafe Zippy's, like there's that little corner there where it was, a coffee shop and a gathering space with a little salon next door, and just those neighborhood areas that people can walk to and grab a cup of coffee, and they don't have to necessarily go too far to find that third place gathering space that they can get together with neighbors and just enjoy each other.
Thank you.
Great. Well, I don't have any other comments. Thank you so much, Dan, for that update. It was really fun to listen to. With that, with no further business, if you would like to provide comment, we encourage you to provide your comments in writing before the meeting to council@everettwa.gov. All comments received will become part of the public record. These numbers will also be posted on the city website at www.everettwa.gov/citycouncil. And with no further business and no executive session, we are adjourned. Thank you and good evening.